back to the shop. We're here with another project that I think is going to be a lot of fun. If you were with me a couple of videos ago, we picked up and I talked about some of these Dietz lanterns, and this one here has a big old hole in it, and I was really hoping it would be good. We've been able to show that it is authentic. It's got the dates and everything right there, and patent numbers. So this one is really worth fixing up, and so I think we're going to take some time to clean up that hole. And I have some gas tank epoxy and then some tank sealer sitting over there, and we're going to coat the inside of this tank and seal it up. This tank sealer is made for motorcycles. Some of you, the viewers, I want to come back and say I think I've got a lot of the best viewers. So many of you have commented and shared on different things, and it has just been great. So got the epoxy, the JB Weld for tanks, and then we're going to coat the inside of the tank and get it all cleaned up. And somebody had mentioned that there was some writing on the little gas cap, and I'll show you that here. You can see in fine print it says made in United States of America. So just great to see all this. And again, from one of you, the viewers, you said this basket that holds the globe will tip out. And I got to looking at it, and sure enough, there's a little hinge back here. So let me bring you down here closer on the bench, and I'll show you how we're going to take this apart and take a closer look at it. All right, the little wire, the little handle that lifts the globe has a hinge, a pivot point back here that this base sits on. So I made a couple of blocks here to prop this up. Go. Now that should tip. Look at that. Nice. Now we can set that aside and make sure we don't break it. It does say, I think that's lot number, made in USA, and it says Dietz right there, D-Light, New York, USA. Now this one says New York, USA. This one here, the code on here says an S for Syracuse. So I don't know if this is the original globe with this, or if all the globes were made in New York and distributed to Syracuse, New York. But anyways, that globe will set aside so we don't break it, and then makes it easier to take out this little burner. Again, one of my viewers mentioned this, and man, that makes it so much easier. So now we can set that aside as well. And hopefully you can see in here, there is a little tank inside of this big tank, and that's so that the air can come down through here and feed the flame underneath, and the tank down below on the inside, the internal tank, is what actually holds all of the fuel, and that is connected to the little cap. So we're going to take this, we'll put this back like that, and we're going to take these blocks out and we'll tip it over and take a look at the bottom. So right there is our little hole. I want to take the Dremel and clean this all up and try to get that down. If this is galvanized, I want to get through that and get it nice and clean. We'll take some acetone and clean this all up, and then we'll patch that. Once this is patched on the outside, then we'll turn to the inside. And I want to take, I think I'm going to clean that out on the inside. There's a little rust in there. We'll try to clean out the inside with some evapor rust, and then we'll clean it out with acetone so it'll evaporate real well and get it good and dry. And then we'll put the tank sealer in there in case there's any thin spots anywhere else that might come through eventually. So let's get to tearing into that, and I'll take you through that process. All right, I found one more little hole. When I filled this with evapor rust, there was a little drip that started, so there's probably some thin spots in there, and I have let that soak overnight. I'm going to try to take this pinchers here with a little bit of steel wool and clean on the inside, down inside this here, and try to get all the way over to the seam and clean the whole bottom of this. And if I can get that all cleaned up and then emptied out of the evapor rust, then we will try to patch that hole, and then we'll seal the inside. So let me take a little time here as I get this squared away so that we can keep on with the project. All right, friends, keep in mind this is the first lantern I've ever done, and we have this all sealed up. Have JB Weld on this one. This is huge. I was using that fiberglass mesh, and so it was bigger than what I really intended for it to be for the whole of it is. There were a couple of small little things. One of them, this one here, I think it was leaking. These two here looked like it but weren't leaking, but I went ahead and sealed them anyways. We've done our inside. I prepped the inside with evapor rust, and then cleaned that out, and then took a heat gun and heated up at least the bottom of the tank here and got some air blowing through there, and it's all good and dry. And then coming back once again to my viewers, one of you suggested this stuff here, this product. It's called Pore 15. And it's a fuel tank sealer. It's for motorcycles, I guess, and I thought I would use it for this. Now there is another Pore 15 product, or there's other products by this that you're supposed to use as a degreaser and as a rust remover. I did not need to degrease it. I did rinse it out with really hot water, then use the evapor rust to prep it. This is not nearly as important as a motorcycle tank, although I don't want it to leak. But this here is then what I'm going to use to put in here. So again, this is just my way of doing it. There are instructions on the can for how it's supposed to be done. So just remember, if you do it my way and it doesn't work, I don't recommend it. I'm just telling you how I'm doing it. So let's see if we can't get this lid off. And then I have, that does have some fumes to it. Then I have this here that I'm going to fill up and pour it in there. And we'll put the lid back on here. I don't need, the directions say to put this whole thing in the tank, but that's for a motorcycle tank. So I'm just going to take and suck this up in here and put it into this tank. We'll swirl it around like they tell us to. All right, that should be good. There we go. Now I'll put this back on here. There are a little bit of fumes. Don't want too much of that around. Now it tells us just to kind of move this around inside there and hold this at different angles for about a half an hour each one. So I am going to go ahead and do that. I'm tempted just to move it around and dump it out, but I'll let it sit there. It may be that it needs to get down into the seams and things like that, which is fine. So I'm just going to let this sit. I'll put something to prop under here, and I'll just keep moving this around, and we'll get that well coated inside there. Then you have to leave it for 4 days to dry. So I'm going to set this up to coat on the inside there, and then I'll dump it out, and I'll come back to you in about 4 days. Here's our beautiful little lantern, all fixed up and put together. I'll remind you, and I think it was, can't remember, it seems to me several of you mentioned the numbers right up here So let me show you. I think most of these up here are the patent numbers. But if you look right there, that's an S, which stands for Syracuse, New York. There's a dash, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well. There's a 1, and then a 43. So is that January 1943? Is this lantern that old, from Syracuse, New York? It looks and appears that way. If you know more about this than I do and know that I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But I was so appreciative to him for noticing that. And I got some information from Fun with Lanterns. And you can go back to the other video. I'll put the link to that first video when I showed these lanterns. And he mentioned that these are from 1965, I think it was, is when they stopped stamping this little air tube. And they closed the Syracuse plant. And this one here may very well still have been made in the United States, may have been made in New York. But they also opened a plant in Hong Kong. So I'm not sure if this is from Hong Kong or not. It's still labeled New York in different places here, you can see. But this, I'm pretty sure, I guess this one's not labeled New York. It says number 90. So this may very well be one from Hong Kong. And Fun with Lanterns actually made the point, it's still an authentic Dietz, it's just not made here in the States. So it's still something to keep track of and to hang on to, but I will probably keep it in the house and we'll use it if we need to. But this one here is more than likely an authentic lantern made before 1965. And if that, I don't think that year is the patent number year. I think that probably is the year it was made. If you know better, please let me know. So probably 1943, so this would be a World War II era lantern. Also, thanks to Matt's Garage, 1791, he put me on to this Pour 15 tank sealer, and we have let this thing set for 5 days now, and we're ready to fill it, put our burner back in place, put our globe back in, and get it operational again. So we've got these little blocks here that I manufactured so that we can hold this top up and give ourselves some room for putting in. See, this thing here has a hinge and the basket flips out. Before we do anything, I want to go ahead and put our fluid in. I'm not going to use kerosene. I want to use this lantern oil. I think it's a paraffin oil, and I'm just going to put some of this in, and then we'll put the burner on and we'll get this thing so that it's absorbed up into the wick, and we'll be able to light it and give it a try. All right, that should be enough for what we want to do. Here is our burner that we cleaned up. We have two little tabs that fit right here and back here. And then we're able to put our globe in. Grab our globe, set it right here, and we'll be able to put it right up into place. Now we'll take these out. There we go. Be able to raise that and lower it right there. I want to let that absorb a little bit before we do much. I want to go ahead and put this cap back. The cap actually says in there, made in United States of America. Dietz is right there in the center. So I cleaned up that cap a little bit, and that should do us well. This is my first Dietz lantern to clean up. What I did is I took a little time to get rid of the rust spots. I didn't want to take off all of, I don't know if there's a finish on here or if it's just oil that's been on here, but there seems to be something on here. I started using a, what's this called? One of these, I always want to say emery pad. It's not an emery pad, a Brillo, not a Brillo. Anyways, I took this to try to clean that up, and it wouldn't. It started to take off some of this finish, so I thought I'd just leave it, and we'll not do a full restoration. We're just going to keep it the way it is. It will work well. Fun with Lanterns did mention to be careful about warming up this globe before you really get it started. Now, from what I understand, the original lanterns that they made did not have these holes down here in the bottom, underneath, right here above the burner, and it would get too hot. So they added those holes in there, and that's supposed to allow a little air in that globe so it doesn't get too hot, but that is a later addition. So let's let this soak for a little while, and then we'll give it a try. We'll shut off our lights and see how it looks. All right, find ourselves here in the dark. All the power is out. What are we going to do? And we're going to pull out our nice little nifty lantern. We're going to pull up that globe, and we're going to light that wick. There we go. Isn't that sweet? There we go. We can have a little bit of light now. Be able to at least make out what we need to. Probably turn that up once it gets warmed up. But I do want to take the advice of my viewers and make sure we don't overheat that globe. That globe does say Dietz on it. It says New York. It's got what looks like, to me, very authentic. And of course, I'm no professional at it, no expert, but I am happy with the way this came out. The tank is now fixed. It's usable, functional, and now to me it's collectible. All right, let's take a closer look at these. You can see this one here, which I think is a newer one, possibly not made here in the States. It doesn't say New York anywhere on it. The globe is completely clean. There's no writing on it. There's something down there around the burner. I don't know if that's DPM, DRM, I'm not really sure. But the globe is completely clean. Nothing's written on it. None of the air tubes have anything on it. And up top here it just says Dietz. So it's rather generic. Still probably a Dietz, an authentic Dietz, but it may be one made in Hong Kong. Our other one here, though, has the nice cap that says Made in USA, or the United States. It has Dietz, New York on it. The globe has several things that are interesting. This part right here, I don't know if it will focus very well on that. There we are. It says number, what is that, 6, 8? Made in the USA. So that is interesting. On the other side of the globe, it does say Dietz. We'll take a look here quickly at that. That part right there says Dietz, Light, New York, USA. And of course, on the arm up here where it's got the information for it, where it's been stamped, has an S, which means Syracuse. So I'm supposing that this was made in Syracuse, New York, but that the company headquarters is in the state of New York, or the city of New York, I presume. And then up top here, it's got some more markings, which are a lot more here. A D-Light, number 2. So those are some things I'm going to have to look up and learn some more about this one. But I am pleased to have them, and I think you can look at it as unfortunate or not. Might be collecting these as well as old tools. Well, this was a lot of fun. Had an item here that to me is vintage. Was basically useless because it wouldn't hold oil, and we've got it all patched up and fixed up and given new life. So I am pleased to be able to have this now. We can even use it, and now we have 2 of them that are functional. So I think this is great. My wife probably won't be happy that I'm having or starting a new collection. But if I find these for a decent price, and now that I have some idea of what to look for, and it's all thanks to you guys. I sure do appreciate when you guys chime in and give me information that is useful and helpful. I love using this platform to not only share this stuff with you, but also learn from you guys who know a whole lot more about much of this than I do. So thanks so much for sharing, and please feel free to leave comments and to let me know if you know anything about these that would help me to know what I'm looking for when I'm out hunting tools. So guys, thanks so much. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up, and if you know anybody else that might enjoy this kind of content, please send them the link. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification too, so that next time we have a video up, you'll be notified, be able to come visit me here again in the shop. So guys, as always, here's to each and every one of you. Have a great day. God bless.